Hey folks, welcome into NFL Daily. Later edition here. Cam Rogers with you, Tom Downey alongside. Tom, we have football, my man.
Does it count though?
Of course it counts.
It's football, but is it going to be good football?
No Trubisky, no Flacco. A lot of the starters won't see any action.
But the Ravens are playing a better quarterback tonight.
That's debatable. You're already getting under my
I
skin
know,
and we're
it's
seconds
great.
into the program.
It's so great.
A lot to get through, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about a very interesting scenario, Khalil Mack trade proposals. In fact, we'll kick off this show and talk about the state of Mack's contract because, well, there's not a lot of progress going on right now.
Well, the report from Ian Rappaport was that there's been no progress, no communication, no optimism between the sides, which in that case, not good. Not what you want to have going on between
especially
two
when
parties.
it's 2018 and it's so easy to communicate.
There are these things called texts that make things super easy these days. Now, there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on here as well. I will make note there that the buzz about any potential Khalil Mack trade has increased. Now, there is a former NFL GM, the Redskins' Vinny Serrata, who says he thinks a trade will happen. Mike Florio has floated the idea of a trade, or if the Raiders should consider trading Khalil Mack. I don't think this is actually the route that the Raiders will go, but if they're not going to pay him, they can get a lot more money, or a lot more in return than saying, oh yeah, let's have one more year of Mack and then say bye-bye.
Now, this would be absolutely extraordinary if indeed the Raiders choose to trade Khalil Mack. So the situation is Mack is entering in to his final year of his contract, and he wants security, he wants to get paid, he wants to be the highest paid defender in the NFL. Meanwhile, you have a man named Aaron Donald waiting in the wing as well, looking to get paid by the LA Rams. So these two players are in a tug of war, if you will.
Absolutely.
So with that, let's get to some trade proposals and some trade thoughts about what teams out there could actually make a move.
These look more like your NBA blockbuster trades where you're getting picks and players back in exchange there. Now, the reality is trades are very, very tough in the NFL because salary cap, player contracts, picks are so valued more so than the NBA. These trades are indeed a little bit on the unlikely side, but if a trade did go down, I got some ideas for you.
Well, let's take a look
at. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
That's the number one rule.
Smile, laugh, enjoy. That's why we're here.
Call me stupid, but have a smile on your face when you say it.
There you go. Let's take a look at the Raiders and the Green Bay Packers. So the Packers could you certainly use some pass rushing ability on that front line there. I think they're really good on the interior, but Khalil Mack for 2 first-round picks.
Well, the Packers have some beneficiaries of having both those picks. Now, the reality is both of those will probably be later first-round selections, but you get 2 first-round picks as opposed to, say, a mid-first and a mid-second. The 2 first-round picks are more valuable in that scenario. The Packers don't really have a young edge rusher to give the Raiders. Vince Biegel might actually be more of an outside linebacker in a 4-3 scheme that's kind of a Sam. Maybe Bruce Irvin plays more on the edge in this scenario. But for Green Bay, you get Khalil Mack, you pair him with Nick Perry. Kyler Fackrell continues to be bad. Oakland does not want him. In this scenario, Cam, with Jake Ryan out for the year with a torn ACL, I'll put Clay Matthews back on the inside.
That's
put him
interesting.
back at inside linebacker. Green Bay has done that before. The other alternative here, Cam, is Green Bay they're a little bit tight on money. They can make a Khalil Mack trade work if they get creative with the extension, or they can just cut Clay Matthews if that's what they want to go. Next year, they'll have plenty of cap space to afford him for any type of extension.
There was some minor buzz out there this offseason that maybe the Packers would have cut Clay Matthews, but there were other potential cuttees, if you will, like a Jordy Nelson, that made a little more sense. Who says no to this? Type 3 for Packers, type 4 for the Oakland Raiders. Let's talk about a team with a ton of cap space, Tom Downey. We got the Indianapolis Colts, a team that is going through a major rebuild process here. Now, some people out there are saying, well, because Andrew Luck is healthy, who knows what can happen? Maybe Chris Ballard gets aggressive.
I don't think that's Chris Ballard's MO, but this is Khalil Mack after all.
Sure.
So if you're Mack, or if you're the Colts, wouldn't you love to go get a player of Khalil Mack's ability who is heads and shoulders better than anybody else you have out there on that defensive end, better than Kamiko Toure, John Simon, and so on and so on, Terrell Basham, Jamal Sheard, better than all those types of players. Now, the Colts have the picks that could be more valuable than, say, the Packers, for example. They could be a high first-round pick, could be a high second-round pick. They have some from the Jets, I believe, as well. And, of course, they have the money to make a deal go down.
There's a trade package there. Basham, first-round pick, second-round pick, and the Colts get Khalil Mack. Now, wouldn't you be shocked to see this? Because it almost throws a wrench, I guess, into the process of the Colts trying to just improve
build through
as
the draft.
the team that they have, and of course in the future drafts too. So
I think it's fair, and I'll say for the Oakland perspective, in reality, you're almost getting a first, second, and a third-round pick because that's what Basham was out of Ohio University. So the Colts, it makes sense for them. Yes, you're giving up a first-round pick and a second-round pick, but you just got Khalil Mack. And now all of a sudden your defensive line goes from, you know what, this is not very good at all to, hey, you know what, we got Mack, we'll get by everywhere else.
Autry there coming on over from Oakland. Khalil Mack joins him, and Sheard is a good player too. So, hey, that'd be interesting. Meanwhile, the Raiders' defensive line without Khalil Mack, Justin Ellens on the interior. I like him a lot, but Mario Edwards is probably your best pass rusher. Maybe Arden Key.
It's not great.
Yeah.
That's why the Colts rank lower on this because they don't have that impact young edge rusher that they can offer the Raiders, which if Oakland does go down this route, I think they would want picks back and a talented young pass rusher. Kind of think back to the Kyrie Irving show with the Cavs wanted a young player and a pick.
All right, there you go. The Colts could be involved.
Multiple young players.
We got a couple of other teams to get through, but you may be wondering why we look so fantastic tonight, folks. We are wearing Mizzen and Main comfortable .af shirts. No ironing needed, no dry cleaning needed, sweat wicking technology. The works. Get it done. Products made right here in America.
They keep you cool and they make you look cool. What more could you possibly want?
And there you go. Hey, Tom, there's a team out there that could certainly use a premier edge rusher. We're talking about the San Francisco 49ers. So Khalil Mack would not have to travel very far, if you will. The 49ers have a good amount of salary cap space, and they're trying to make it work with Solomon Thomas and Jeremiah Tachu and Eric Armstead, who can't stay healthy. You know what? Why not just say, screw it, let's get one of the premier edge rushers, if not the best defender in the National Football League, and all bets are off. We're good for the season.
It's a home run pick there for the Niners, or I guess move for the Niners if they're able to pull it off. So my offer looks a little bit different to the Niners than most teams offer. They're actually giving up two young players, a first-round pick as well, plus Solomon Thomas, who at that point does kind of become redundant for the Niners. Where are you going to play him? And I think the Raiders would much prefer to have Thomas than, say, an Eric Armstead. And then Jimmy Ward as well, who I think he's got 1 year left in San Francisco anyway, Cam. He gives the Raiders another versatile defensive back to play with.
Maybe a little Bay Area trade, Tom.
Which actually might kind of go against what the Raiders want. I don't know how they feel about sending him off to the crosstown rival.
So that's the rundown there of the depth chart at the defensive line. Without Mack for Oakland, there's Solomon Thomas on the edge. Let's take a look at the 49ers now. Armstead, Mack at the Leo. That'd be a really fun position for him. Buckner at defensive tackle, Earl Mitchell at nose tackle. He's not a good player at all, but Buckner can certainly pave the way and make Mitchell a better player.
With Khalil Mack, all of a sudden you're fine. Right?
Yeah.
You have nothing to worry about there. All of a sudden that front seven with Mack and Foster and Buckner, oh boy.
It's juicy.
That's loaded right there.
Juicy stuff. All right, let's talk about the next team on the list here. And the Chicago Bears, a team playing tonight, could perhaps make a move for Khalil Mack.
It would make sense, and I've seen many Bears fans who want this to go down because what do the Chicago Bears need more than almost anything right now? It's an impact pass rusher. Now, they're hoping that Floyd can be that. Even with Floyd, they might want one other guy there, but Khalil Mack would be that guy. They have the cap space to pull it off. They've got plenty of money next year. One issue for Chicago, though, Cam, in any potential trade, is they do lack a second-round pick to throw in that a team like the Niners or the Packers or Colts can also include to help boost up the value in any potential trade.
All right, so let's take a look at that package here. So Leonard Floyd, a first-round pick, and inside linebacker there as well for the Oakland Raiders. Khalil Mack to the Chicago Bears. Is this a fair deal?
Is there any fair deal for Khalil Mack?
I guess not.
We can get as close as possible, and I think for the Oakland Raiders, if you are going to trade away with Khalil Mack, you get Leonard Floyd. So there is your young edge rusher. I think would a little thin to maybe be a true defensive end, but Mack I think is actually maybe better as a 3-4 defensive end, even though there is or 3-4 outside linebacker, even though he can play anywhere. Floyd gives you that talented young edge rusher to pair with maybe Arden Key down the road. Maybe it's Mario Edwards for this year. So you get that young talented player that is much cheaper at the same position. Plus you get some picks, and then you also get another inside linebacker as well to help fill out that portion of your depth chart.
Chicago Bears, meanwhile, Khalil Mack at outside linebacker, Trevathan, Roquan Smith, who still has to sign, by the way, and then Aaron Lynch. That's a very intriguing group.
It's a lot better than what it is right now.
Yeah.
And you would assume that once you get Khalil Mack in, you would find a way to bring in Roquan Smith very, very quickly because, well, frankly, he should have already been signed. It's kind of an issue for the Bears as it is right now.
All right, who's going to say no? Type A for the Raiders, type B for the Chicago Bears in the comments section. We're on Facebook Live as well as YouTube Live. Let's check in now with the Buffalo Bills, a team that could perhaps make a move and grab Khalil Mack. You know, University of Buffalo, Tom.
This is perfect. This is where Khalil Mack should go.
The Bulls.
If there is a trade, he goes back to Buffalo. I think it makes sense for the Bills if they think they're closer than, you and I tend to think that they currently are. And then for the Raiders, I think the Bills can give you some value back. You get a first and a second round selection. And you get Shaq Lawson, who, for whatever reason, the Bills don't seem to like.
And they might even cut.
I don't think they'll cut it because it doesn't make anything from a monetary perspective. That's what the reports continue to say, though, which makes me think that this is just the Bills trying to scare Shaq Lawson straight a little bit.
Perhaps.
But to the Oakland Raiders, yes, you lose Khalil Mack. You get what could be 2 potentially high draft picks in next year's draft class. And much like the Bears, you get a reliable, maybe not reliable, but a promising young edge rusher on the outside in Shaq Lawson.
Who can develop.
Arden Key can develop too. Mar Edwards, you got P.J. Hall, Mo Hurst. All of a sudden, next year, let's just say, you can have your 4 starters, Lawson, let's just say Key, and pick 2 of Ellis, Eddie Vanderdoes, and Mo Hurst. All of a sudden, you got a young defensive line that were all relatively early picks, all not including Mo Hurst, who should have been a day 1 pick, all day 1 or day 2 selections, all on their first-year contracts. You got to go cheap at some areas. This allows the Raiders to do that on the defensive line.
Meanwhile, for Buffalo, Tom, how do you beat Tom Brady? You win against those tackles around the edge, and you get to him, and you hit him. Jerry Hughes, Khalil Mack can do that. So when the Bills play the Patriots twice a season, that's a scary duo coming around the edge there against the New England Patriots. I'm thinking about it from a micro perspective here because to win the AFC East, you got to beat the New England Patriots. So that's the rundown there with the trade package between the Raiders and the Bills. Who says no to that? Well, let us know in comments. All right, so we're going through a couple more trades here. Bonus trades,
trades, absolutely crazy ones. That will be fun.
This involves Earl Thomas, and I want you to unpack this.
We checked off both boxes,
You
baby.
did.
Earl Thomas, Khalil Mack trade. What more do you people want out there?
You're a man made for SEO.
So first off, Earl Thomas has indicated the Raiders that he would like to play for them. At least that was the report. Now, I don't know how much I really believe that. I think that was more of a leverage play. But let's say you're Seattle. Both these bonus trades, hint, hint, are the, you know what, we got this disgruntled player. Let's ship him out for somebody else. So for the Raiders, you would actually save money because Khalil Mack is going to be way more expensive than Earl Thomas will be. You're talking $20 million versus at most $15 million. So the Raiders get Earl Thomas to be their lock-in number 1 safety alongside Carl Joseph. Boy, is that fun. Frank Clark is now your Khalil Mack replacement. He is coming up on a new deal. He'll be cheaper. So the Raiders now have Frank Clark. He's not Khalil Mack, but it's a relatively not as steep of a drop-off as, say, so on and some of these other teams. It's not the same drop as a Floyd or Lawson. Clark is a better player right now. And then if you're the Raiders, yes, you bring in Earl Thomas as a bonus there. And you can kind of still win now.
That's a fun safety duo.
It is a fun safety duo. Earl Thomas is your back end, your dynamic free safety. Carl Joseph is your mean guy at strong safety. And then Reggie Nelson, Marcus Gilchrist. Frankly, Cam, from 1 to 4, I don't think you'll find a better safety group if this did go down. Because Nelson and Gilchrist, especially Nelson, could both start in a pinch if needed.
Meanwhile, for Seattle, Tom, I think this would be totally against what they're trying to do, and that's why it's a bonus trade and all that, and it's just
bonus
fun.
Trades.
But Seattle's trying to reset, as we like to put it.
But see, the note with Seattle is that, yes, they're resetting. They got over $50 million in space next year.
Sure.
If they're not going to use it on Khalil Mack, or on Earl Thomas, maybe they could use it on a Khalil Mack. Rasheem Green and Mack, I think, is a really good 1-2 punch. I don't trust Deion Jordan. I don't trust Marcus Smith as your backups. Yes, you lose Earl Thomas and Clark, and you give a 4th-round pick because I think that Mack just has more pure trade value than Earl Thomas. But Obi Melifonwu, frankly, could fit at corner or at safety in the end there for the Seattle Seahawks. So it's a bonus trade. This one will not happen, but it will be fun if it did go down.
All right, going through the bonus trades here, let's talk about the Los Angeles Rams. Tom, could this be a scenario where we are just trading places?
Who says no, Cam?
Oh, my.
Serious question, everyone out there. Who says no? The Rams or the Raiders? Aaron Donald for Khalil Mack straight up. Who says no? I asked this to some of the other chat sports guys, and they were like, oh, the Rams say no. Well, now, wait. Maybe the Raiders say no. I have an answer, but Cam, who says no to this trade?
This is so difficult. This is like a classic Madden trade proposal.
This is straight out of Madden.
Who rejects it?
This is straight out of Madden.
I actually think the Rams say no. I think Aaron Donald is the most important piece to that Rams defense, no doubt. And the fact that Donald can essentially shut down the interior of an offensive line and let the edge rushers, albeit not as good, kind of come around the edge and get these one-on-one type of situations here. I think Donald is ultra more important to the Rams than Khalil Mack is to the Raiders.
I think you make some very good points there, and I think that the Raiders might go, you know what, we have Vanderdoes and Hurst and Hall and even Justin Ellis. Do we really want Aaron Donald too? Wouldn't a pure edge pass rusher be more valuable to us because of positional value? Couldn't the Rams make that same claim, though?
They could make that claim.
You're right. You think of Wade Phillips' defense. He's had those instant impact edge rushers that have been incredibly talented. Put Khalil Mack with Wade Phillips.
But I think of it from the perspective, if I were a GM, do I want to build my defense around a guy I can just anchor in the middle and never worry about a thing? And I think I would.
What if I told you the Rams kind of have somebody there with Ndamukong Suh?
Well, that is a very fair point as well. And at some point, he's going to have to be an expensive keep.
In the end, I think both teams would be too afraid to say yes. I think they'd be like, oh, man, could we actually do this? What if the one player ends up being better? And I think for the Raiders, they'd be like, Donald wants just as much money. That doesn't really solve our problems.